Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Garrett Adelstein and welcome back to the vlog. Super quick introduction today because the game has already started and I'm a little bit late. We're playing 5-5-10. Looks like the Straddle is on as well. Really excited to get into the game and just win everyone's money today. Let's check out some hands. Alright, we got a fun looking lineup today. Almost everyone is someone that I've played with in the past, but we do have one new face in the game, a player known as Julia from Palmdale, or as she's going to be known to me after today, Julia Triple Straddle. It doesn't take long before we're playing our first pot together. 25 minutes in, she's in the $20 straddle and I'm in the small blind with Ace-Jack offsuit. It folds all the way around to me and I raise it on up to $65. Action falls back round to her and she makes the call. Heads up to our first flop of the day here. It is Queen 7 Deuce Rainbow. I decide to c-bet for a small size. I bet out for $65 and she makes the call. To the turn, it's an offsuit 10. I pick up a gut shot to the nuts and I decide to keep betting here for $200. I can fold out some third pair and fourth pair type hands and I of course have equity when I'm called. Sure enough, she does make the call to the river. It is another deuce. Really not a great card to be bluffing here. So I just wave the white flag and she checks it on back with top pair and takes it down. Down a few $100 early today looking for that king on the river, but it wasn't to be. But the straddle is on today, so I'm sure we'll get it back quite quickly. Alright, next up, I'm in the $20 straddle with Jack 7 of diamonds. It folds all the way around to the big blind, who is a buddy of mine, and he raises it on up to $50. I, of course, make the call from the straddle. We're going heads up to the flop, which is Ace 7-3 with two hearts. My opponent c-bets for $50, and I, of course, make the call. To the turn, it's an offsuit 10, and my opponent bets again, this time for $85. I decide to peel just one more card, see if we can improve. As the dealer is about to burn and turn, my opponent actually checks dark. Heads up to that river. It is the Jack of Hearts. I do make two pair, but the flush does come in. I don't think he's going to check dark though with a flush draw. So I decide to bet my hand for value. I bet $175 and I get a relatively quick call. I turn my hand over and my opponent flashes an ace as he mucks. It's a bit of a loose call on the turn there, but I'm always happy to suck out versus this guy. Lord knows he's done it to me a few times. Coupled in with a few small pots coming my way other than this hand, we're now up $200 for the day, off to a pretty good start here. Alright, next up I'm in the straddle with Ace 9 offsuit. Julia has raised on the button to $60. The big blind is called and I decide to call as well. We go three ways to the flop, which is 9-5 deuce all spades. Top pair on a monotone board. It's a little scary and Julia bets out for $50. The big blind makes the call and I of course call as well. I'm a little concerned because I know that the big blind can have some flop flushes here and of course the button range is completely uncapped. We go three ways to the turn, which is an offsuit 6 and Julia bets again, this time for $225. The big blind gets out the way. I eye up Julia's stack. She's only got about $500 or $600 behind after this. I'm really not sure what to make of this spot. I haven't played much with the button so far. I'm really not sure if she's a loose player, a tight player, an aggressive player, and she's firing bombs into two people on the turn here. So I sigh and just fold my hand. It feels a little dirty, but like I say, I've got no reads on this player, but I think tight is right in this spot without any reads. Okay, so we're about even so far today, and I am trying extra hard today to stay off of my phone. Life passes by so quickly when you're just scrolling through Twitter and Instagram when you're bored, and there's a lot of boring spells when you're playing live poker. So my phone is away today, and when you're not on your phone, you can see literally everyone else just always on their phone. It's a fun table, everyone is really nice, but the game is a little stale and a little dry today, so I suggest that we play the stand-up game. A few players are enthusiastic, a few players grumble a little, but after some negotiation, we get the stand-up game going. We're not actually standing up for it, but instead we're going to use $2 chips to signify who's safe and who's not safe. For those that don't know the rules of the stand-up game, we actually play it standing up, hence the name. Whenever you win a pot, you get to sit down, and the last person to sit down has to pay out a fee or a bounty to everyone else at the table. Our fee today is $50 per player, so if you lose, you have to pay out $350 to the table. I actually saved myself very early on by overlimping 8-7 offsuit in the hijack. A little loose, but we've got a very passive table, and I was pretty sure I was going to get to see a flop. We go four ways to Ace 6-5 with two hearts. I bet out for $60 and take it down. I have only lost the stand-up game once in my life, and it just happened to be on the Hustler Casino Live main stage when it was also the biggest ever stand-up game that I'd ever played. All right, next up, the $40 straddle is on, and I am in the middle blind with, oh my god, pocket aces. A local pro is opening the cutoff to $105. He is not yet safe from the stand-up game. There's only a few players left, and I put in the re-raise to $350. This is a little bit on the small side, but we're about $2,000 effective to start the hand, which is only 50 big blinds when the $40 straddle is on, so I think my size is okay here. He makes the call. We go heads up to the safest ever 7-deuce-deuce rainbow flop of all time. I think I should bet all my overpairs here except for pocket aces. They don't need any protection, and if he's got a hand like King Jack suited or something, we want to let him bluff or catch up himself. I did bet out this time for $225, and he does just let it go. But if there's one hand that we want to consider checking with, it's definitely pocket aces. Another important factor is that if I do check the flop and he checks back, the SPR is low enough for me to bet the turn and shove the river. If we were deeper and that wasn't possible, I'd much rather just bet my aces on the flop so I can play for stacks. But given the shallower stacks, I think checking the flop might just be the way to go here. All right, even though the game is a little tough today, at least the stand-up game is generating some action. Next up, I'm under the gun with ace-queen offsuit and raises it on up to $50. It falls all the way around to the straddle, who is still in the stand-up game, and he's heads up with one more player to determine the loser. He takes a moment before 3-betting me to $260. He's a good, aggressive player who is very capable of having weak hands here because of the stand-up game. I think shoving is fine just to win the pot now, but I decide to just call. I dominate a lot of his bluffs because of the stand-up game that we're playing, and I could win a very nice pot if I flop a pair. We go heads up to the flop, which is Jack, Jack, 6 rainbow. It's not great, but he does check to me, and I decide to just check it back. To the turn, it's the 5 of spades, bringing a backdoor flush draw, and he now bets out for $200. I decide I'm going to fold with a spade in my hand, and when I look back to see if I do have a spade in my hand, there is a spade, so I just fold. Now, one of the rules of the stand-up game is that you've got to show your hand to be safe, and he turns over King 9 of hearts. I told you this guy was definitely capable of making a move here. This has been a very even Stevens day for me so far today, of a very, very small amount. And even though the stand-up game just ends, we take about 10 minutes before getting it back on again. Second or third hand into the next stand-up game, I am in the middle blind with ace-jack offsuit. The $40 straddle is on again here, and I raise it on up to $160. It's Julia in the $40 straddle, and she makes the call. To the flop we go. It's a very good start here. It's ace-king 4 with 2 hearts. I decide to c-bet for $160, and she does make the call. To the turn, it is a nice rainbow 7. I decide to keep betting here. I bet $400, and once again, my opponent is going to make the call. Heads up to the river looking for a clean one. It's a very clean offsuit 6. I take a few seconds pretending to think about my options, but I know what I'm going to do. I move all in for $1,300. My opponent is immediately telling me that she doesn't love this spot. Really happy she didn't snap call me there. She goes deep into the tank for a very, very long time, and eventually she just folds. I have to show my hand, one of the rules of the stand-up game, and when I do show it, she looks very, very relieved that she had folded. The stand-up game takes about 30 minutes to finish, and it is absolute carnage over the 2 rounds. We decide to take a break from playing it once we're done, and it doesn't actually get off the ground again today, but it was a lot of fun when we did play it. Our resident podcaster, Charlie Wilmuth, lost a huge pot with pocket 8s versus pocket 9s on 7-3-3 at the end of the second game, which also meant that he had to pay out everyone at the table immediately after. You guys should give his podcast a listen. It's very, very good, very entertaining. You can search on Google for Third Man Walking. It's definitely worth the listen. All right, back to normal non-stand-up game poker now, and the game is quite a bit better than it was at the beginning. It started off kind of stale, but there are a few loose gooses in the game now. Next up, I'm in the cutoff with Queen 10 offsuit. The hijack is raised to $50, and I decide to flat. Is this standard? Definitely not. Are the loose gooses widening my calling ranges? Absolutely yes. The button is going to make the call as well. We go 3 ways to the flop, which is Queen 4-3 rainbow. The action checks over to me, and I bet out for $80. Only the button is going to make the call here. We're going heads up to the turn, which is an offsuit jack. I check, and my opponent decides to check it back. To the river, it is an offsuit 10. Absolutely beautiful river here, and I bet out for $350. My opponent actually says he ain't buying what I'm selling, and he makes the call. I turn over my hand, and he says, okay, that makes sense, and he mucks his hand. Really, really nice run out from me there, and this is going to put me into 4 figures profit for the day, but that's not going to last long. I make a fun river call with ace high for $300. I unblock a lot of bluffs, but naturally he just had top pair. This is not a particularly interesting hand, so I'm not going to include it, but note to self, stop making what feel like good river calls with ace high in live poker. They've probably just got top pair. Alright, not long after paying the guy off to my right with ace high, we're tangling again. The $40 straddle is on for this one. I'm in the $20 straddle and he is in the big blind. It folds round to him and he raises it on up to $110. I'm going to make the call from the 20, as does the $40 straddle. We go 3 ways to a very boring 6-3 deuce rainbow. We check it on over to the $40 straddle, who checks it back. To the turn, it's the ace of spades, bringing a backdoor flush draw. The big blind is going to check to me, and I'm going to start trying to build a pot here with my top pair. I bet out for $220. $40 straddle folds, and the big blind makes the call. To the river, it is an offsuit queen. Doesn't really change anything. And when my opponent checks to me, I decide to go for value. I bet out for $500. My opponent starts to tank. He looks at me a couple of times. I am giving nothing away. And after a few seconds, he makes the call. I turn over my hand and he disappointingly mucks his. This puts me back into 4 figures profit for the day now. Let's knuckle down, focus, stop making bad river calls, and have a very, very big day. Alright, it's 5:30 PM, little mid-session update. I'm walking around the Hustler car park. It's a lot darker than the camera's making it look. The clocks have changed, so it's kind of a little dark and gloomy now. Really easy session so far. The game was so stale earlier. Everyone's laughing and joking that, but it was kind of stale, so I was like, let's play the stand-up game, and then it exploded for a little while, which was a lot of fun. A couple of guys lost a lot of money playing the stand-up game, which makes for a better game. Everyone's a little tilted, a little stuck now. They put more money in the pot and stuff. I haven't a very tame day. I haven't had many all-ins or anything like that, but I'm up about $1,200, been super smooth. Not much else to report. It's 5:30. I've got football tonight at 9 PM. This guy's going to ask me to stop filming, so yeah, I'm going to stop it now. Alright, back into my seat here, and I'm welcome back into my seat with pocket aces for the second time today. The $40 straddle is still on. I absolutely love it here. And the small blind is raised to $105. I'm in the middle blind and putting the re-raise to $300. Action is back on the small blind. He makes the call. We go heads up to Queen Jack 6 with 2 clubs. Really nice flop for me to get paid here. My opponent checks to me and I bet out for $225. He then puts in a very healthy raise to an unknown amount, which I don't even bother getting a count for because he's got like $500 behind, and I know that he's not folding, and I'm not folding either, so I don't take long in just moving all in. As expected, he does make a very quick call. I don't even ask him the question. He is a run it once kind of guy. I like to go twice, but he likes to go once, so we're running it once for this pot worth $3,000. It's a very, very safe run out for my aces. He tells me that he missed, and I show my hand and he mucks his. He's a very nice guy, but he's running really badly today. Sounds like my bullets dodged a few bullets there. All right, having a very, very nice day now, up about $2,200 and hoping to keep it going here. There's an unknown new player in the game. His name's TJ from Boston. Very nice guy. He's in the $20 straddle, and I am in the big blind with ace queen offsuit. It folds all the way around to me, and I raise it on up to $70. My opponent puts in the 3-bet to $250, and our hand actually plays very nicely as a 4-bet here, but when we're a little bit deeper, given we're $1,500 effective, that's only 75 big blinds, and it's a pretty big 3-bet, so I decide to just call. We go heads up to the flop, which is King 5-4 with 2 hearts and 1 diamond. I check to my opponent and he bets out for $125. I've got the best hand often enough, and I've got backdoors if I need them, so I of course make the call. To the turn, it's an offsuit 5. I check to my opponent, happy to see him check this one back. To the river, it's an offsuit 6. My hand is too strong to bluff, too weak to value bet, so I check to my opponent, and he bets out for $475. This really, really feels like a nice spot to hero call with ace high, but I did make that ace high call earlier, and I swore never again. He's got a lot of hands here that have to 3-bet pre-flop, have to c-bet the flop, have to check on the turn, that are now going to bluff on the river. I tell him that it smells like 10-9 suited, which is one of those hands that would 3-bet pre, bet the flop, check the turn, and now bluff the river. I very, very nearly make this call, but I decided I've learned my lesson from the last ace high call.
call, and I make the fold. I ask him if he can show me a bluff. He smiles and mucks his cards. TJ doesn't give anything away at the tables. This is actually the last big pot of note that I'm going to play today. I keep grinding for another hour or so before the end of the session, but very, very few pots go for or against me. I end up booking a win for $1,823, a nice day overall, and I head off to the cashier before going out to play some soccer tonight.
Alright, Triz, we are done. I won about $1,800. Very, very smooth day. Didn't play that many huge pots, and then obviously I had that really nice pot with aces. Lots and lots of small to medium sized pots. I played quite well today. There were a lot of straddles and double straddles. I got a little too merry for the game, but not in a whaley way like I used to do. But not finished yet. I'm actually going to race across town now to Santa Monica to play some soccer. Yeah, just waiting for the Uber. Going to head across. Use an app called Pezzo, P-E-Z-O, for pickup games all around LA. It's fucking class. If anyone's in LA and looking for pickup soccer, I couldn't recommend it enough. But yeah, let's go play some soccer. Right, here we are in beautiful Lincoln Middle School, playing soccer on an NFL field. Very American. But yeah, it's a good night for it. I'm tired as shit, but it's been a long day. But I'm here and I'm ready to play. I can't wait. I'm a bit early. Nobody else is here. There's a bunch of wee lassies playing behind me. I feel kind of weird videoing them, so I'm going to turn it off now. But I'm in the mood for this tonight. My team's going to win. Those of you clamouring for real life stuff and what I get up to, this is it. Sweaty B123. I'm raging. I'm absolutely fuming because I play with these American boys and some of them are very good, but the vast majority of them, they've seen David Beckham play a few long passes and they fucking do that every time. And like the centre half will just launch out of the pitch and they'll all go, "Great ball, man." And I'm like, no, play a 10-yard pass and get the fucking ball. So I was like, there's this English boy in my team tonight. Every time he get the ball fucking in his own half, he was just shooting. I'm raging, I'm not gonna lie. So this is it. This is real life. I'll play football, I'll win all the money playing poker. That's it. Right, that'll do it for this episode. I hope you've had fun. It's been a lot of fun recording it. Until next time, take it easy.